Okay guys, so in today's video I'm going to be talking about the different types of heating that you can get for reptiles and the merits of each of them, as well as explaining what the term belly heat really means. Now there is a bit of a debate going on at the minute as to whether overhead heating is better than heat mats, and to find out which is better we really do have to look to nature. So, the sun gives off electromagnetic radiation, which is a continuous spectrum of waves that you've probably heard about as it does encompass visible light, but more to the point, it encompasses infrared, which we otherwise know as heat. Now, infrared itself actually encompasses a range of wavelengths, ranging from infrared C, which has the longest of the wavelengths in the group, and infrared B and infrared A, with A having the shortest wavelength. Now, C, the longest wavelength, cannot pass through our atmosphere, and it's actually absorbed by it. In a second I draw it as being reflected, but that was just a mistake on my behalf. Whereas infrared A and B go down and heat the objects that they meet, which does include living organisms. Now, the infrared A and B absorbed by the objects is then re-emitted from them as infrared C, which then heats living organisms in the same way that infrared A and B do. What this tells us is that the so-called belly heat is actually the infrared C that's emitted from the Earth and other objects. It also tells us that belly heat couldn't really exist without infrared A and infrared B coming through the atmosphere, or in other words, you can't have belly heat without overhead heating. In my opinion, it's therefore ridiculous to say that an organism like a leopard gecko needs belly heat and not the other forms of heat, given that you really can't have one without the other in nature. Now that we've gone through that little bit of science, we can really start to find a solution to the debate that I mentioned at the start of this video. So really, the heating element or form of heating that is the best has got to be the one that matches the wild conditions the most closely. And so by looking at this table, which is courtesy of Arcadia Reptile, we can start to find our answer. So let's start off with the most basic forms of heating, or in other words, the heat mat. These only give off infrared C, and because they're usually stuck to the bottom of an enclosure, they're only catering to belly heat, and therefore, in my opinion, can only be regarded as supplementary heating systems, because they do not give overhead heating in any form, and that is a major part of the wild environment. Ceramic heat emitters are probably the next step up from heat mats, and that they only emit infrared C, but because they're from above, not only are they heating the air, they're also heating the objects below them, which go on to re-emit that heat, as would occur in nature. So they are providing both belly heat if you use like rocks and stuff to create a nice basking spot, and they are providing overhead heating, but they aren't doing this in the same way as would occur in nature, so they aren't exactly perfect. Heat lamps, such as the halogen one I'm showing you right now, do give off infrared A and a tiny bit of infrared B, so as this will be absorbed by items in your animal's enclosure and then re-emitted as infrared C, they do just about cater to all forms of heat that your animal would experience naturally. However, as they give out light, they can't be used during the night time, and so they aren't exactly perfect, but for daytime heating, these are definitely the best heating sources that we have discussed so far. The final heating element that I'll talk about in this video is Arcadia's deep heat projector. This is a completely unique heating element that no other company makes at the minute, and it gives off an abundance of infrared A and B. So really, in terms of the infrared spectrum specifically, it is definitely the best, most natural heating element on the market. Although it isn't without its cons, because it doesn't give off any light, and for species such as bearded dragons that do like a nice bright basking spot, it just does not provide this for them, although that can easily be overcome by putting it alongside a heat lamp, which is what I've done for my own bearded dragon. So all in all, my recommendation to truly recreate what our reptiles would experience in the natural habitats is to provide them with a deep heat projector as well as some sort of light source during the day, and then to put these over a nice big piece of rock, like slate for example. That way the animal will get infrared A and B directly from the deep heat projector, And we'll also get infrared C, or so-called belly heat, from the rock as it re-emits this infrared radiation. And not only that, the light will sort of make it easier for them to thermoregulate. And on that note, we reach the end of this video. I do thank you for reaching the end of it, and if you want to see more, then do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.